got Greco national team coach Matt Lindland. Coach, you've got Greco World Team Trials coming up next week in Tulsa. Can you just talk about the trials process and if you're happy the way that it's played out so far and any other comments on it?
Yeah, no, I think the way the team is going to be selected is probably the best we could come up with for as far as performance. Our national champs are sitting out in the finals this year, and we took our top guys to the Pan Ams, which is something that I think we're going to have to readjust and relook at next year, make some adjustments because the rest of our continent and North America, South America is really putting a lot of focus on the continental championships, and the guys are getting better and they're getting tougher and they're coming very, very well prepared to compete. And we were coming off of a tournament the week before, and fortunately we were able to come away with the title. But I don't think we performed anywhere near our capabilities, and I think next year, with that being a qualifier for the Pan Am Games, and then also the 2020 being a qualifier for the Olympic Games, I think it's going to be really important over the next 2 years to focus a lot of our attention on high performance at the Pan Am Championships, as well as the Games next year. So, but as far as the way we selected, I mean, I love what freestyle's doing. It's great for their promotion. I don't know if it's if it would have been best for our performance, but they're getting a lot of notoriety, a lot of coverage. But we're coming up a little short on the medal count, and so we need to really focus on our performance and get back in the medals. And we have the athletes that are capable of doing that. So if we can put a good plan together to get them prepared, get them on the team, and then prepare them for the World Championships, I think we're going to do great this year.
You mentioned the Open, Pan Ams, some exciting Greco performances from the USA as well as U23 World Team Trials a couple weeks ago. Can you just talk about the state of Greco in the U.S. and how it's kind of becoming, it's even getting more exciting as a sport and then as a nation, really?
Well, I think first of all the rules really help forcing the action. We've gotten away from blocking and we've created more action just from the rule set, and it's something that I've been trying to preach since I started coaching the national team. Was we need to create action, but it's really difficult when guys are capable of blocking with their heads down and pushing away, and now we're penalizing the athletes for negative wrestling, which is exactly what it is, negative wrestling. They don't want to wrestle. So it's it's an upright style where a lot of action can take place in a very quick time because of the fighting for position, and once they get a hold of their position that they want to score from, things happen very rapidly. And we saw a lot of exciting matches at the U.S. Open, which was really fun for the American fans. They got to see the talented athletes we have, and even when we see a lot of the big name guys come over, maybe from the folk style scene or even the freestyle scene, I think that a lot of the American fans are surprised. I'm not, and I think the Greco aficionados aren't surprised. But I think a lot of those people are surprised just because they get a lot of press and a lot of notoriety from the folk style system. I mean, it's unfortunate, but we are mostly a folk style nation here and put a lot of emphasis on that. And if you don't have those big names coming from the folk style system, people don't really know who they are, because there's a lot of athletes that really have a propensity towards the style of Greco-Roman, and they're much more skilled in that. And it's kind of like, oh, maybe you weren't good enough to wrestle folk style. And I think for some reason, we don't understand. In most sports, if you're not good enough to compete, at a high level, Olympic Games, World Championships, then you go to the collegiate system. For some reason, wrestling in our country is kind of backwards as far as that. We look at this college tournaments and the college system as a really high level, but it's really just highly promoted. And I think a lot of the colleges have a lot of funds to market and promote, and you've got 70, 80 different programs that are pushing their content out there, and we have one organization here that's really focused on it's you and Gary, and we lost another staff member that's really in our communications department that really is pushing the stuff out of here. So when you're up against all these different programs, different news outlets that are promoting the folk style athletes, I think our guys just aren't getting the coverage, and so people don't really know who they are. until they see them compete and they actually see how good our guys are. And when they take out, those big names, I mean, we've seen guys like, Kyle Day come over and give Greco a try. We saw, you know, Gabe Dean came in, he got thrown twice and ended his career. I mean, that was it. And, I don't think there's enough people that realize that it's a completely different style of wrestling. It's a different sport. It's something you have to learn, something you have to study, and really immerse yourself in.
You mentioned some of those folk style guys. Competing recently are Adam Kuhn and Kevin Beasley. Can you just talk about what it's like, kind of a little bit more in detail, having those guys around, and someone like Adam Kuhn, who's going to be going to Final X just the day after competing at World Team Trials, what that does for the program and its promotion, I guess.
Well, yeah, I think Adam Kuhn is one of those big names from the folk style system, but he was also, a very accomplished Greco-Roman wrestler before put most of his focus into that, style of wrestling. Same thing with Kevin Beasley. He's been on world teams. He's been a high-level Greco-Roman athlete. Unfortunately, he didn't get a lot of coverage this year because his senior season was, abruptly ended from an injury. But it's great to have Kevin back, and certainly Adam Kuhn back in the weight, add some depth to both of those weight classes. But I look at those guys as they were Greco wrestlers first before they both went into the college system and really kind of got away from the Greco-Roman wrestling. And that's really what happens when you go into these college systems. A lot of the college coaches don't put much emphasis on the Greco. They don't see the value in it. They don't see how it's going to get them better in folk style. So it's why do that. Why spend your time doing that when we can help you get better in a folk style program by potentially keeping you wrestling folk style longer, or freestyle is a lot more similar because you're in a bent over stance, you're attacking legs. So we don't get a chance to see a lot of these athletes, and we lose some of our best competitors because as soon as they go into that folk style system, we don't end up seeing them back. So we're very happy to have Kevin Beasley back and Adam Kuhn back in our program, and Adam's making a big sacrifice because he's in the finals of the freestyle. And he's gonna take the opportunity to compete and try to make a team in Greco as well the day before. So I think that does bring some notoriety to the program and to the Greco-Roman style. Just having an athlete like him of his caliber in our program.
We've also got guys like Don Bradley, who's crossing over. He's primarily a freestyle athlete, and someone like Sam Hazewinkle, who's done both and is coming back for trials. Can you just talk about the excitement of having those kinds of guys come back as well?
Well, I mean, anytime we're getting more guys into our program at a high level, adding depth to the program is always a good thing. I mean, we intentionally held our trials 5 weeks after the final qualifier for the Final X in hopes that we would attract some more of the freestyle, folk style type of wrestlers and just bring them into our trials, allow them to qualify through a process. But the numbers, the turnout was really bad. We even created opportunities, 3 different opportunities in different locations for freestyle athletes to come train at our different regional training sites. We had one out in Akron, we had another one in Utah Valley. But Don Bradley did make it to the one in Missouri and worked with Coach Mayab and got him ready and confident enough to step up and take a shot at trying to make one of our teams.
Looking into next week's trials, what are some things that you want to see?
I want to see guys having fun. I want to see them scoring points and just putting on exciting matches. But mostly, going out there and taking risks. I think that's really important in our sport is that, the risk is rewarded. If you slip on a throw, you're not getting penalized for that. So take those opportunities to go out and take hold and put yourself in the best position to score and take those opportunities and don't let them pass up because, that's not going to work at the World Championship. So if we're getting the right guy on the team, that guy's going to be a risk-taking athlete. He's going to be putting on exciting matches and trying to score, multiple points. So like I said, the rules are designed now to really create a lot of action, create a lot of excitement. Very fan-friendly style of wrestling now. And I think even for the fans that don't appreciate Greco-Roman, I think the rule set will even attract some of those fans that maybe in the past have said, I don't watch Greco because they don't understand it or they've determined that it's a boring style or whatever, I don't think they're going to have that same opinion after this weekend in Tulsa. I think we're going to see a lot of high level, very exciting matches.
What's a weight class that you're excited? What's a weight class you're excited to see play out, and one that maybe fans should keep an eye out for?
Oh man, there's a lot of them, but right now I'm thinking 60 kilos. Really got a lot of depth in it. There's not a whole lot of guys at 55 because there's just not a lot of men at 55 kilos. Frankly, but a lot of those smaller athletes really are just getting jam-packed into that 60 kilo weight class. And I mean, we saw our national champ from Vegas, Dalton Roberts, get taken out at the U23s by one of his own teammates, Randon Miranda. I think we've got a heated rivalry there. I mean, you throw Taylor Lamont into that mix, former world team member Ildar Hafizov. I mean, Foo Fingers, no joke. That guy's tough as hell. There's a lot of good dudes at 60 kilo. So I think whoever comes out of that mini tournament's going to be in for a fight with Dalton. He's going to bring a lot of pressure and intensity. And I don't know what's going to happen. That's one of those weights where anybody's guess, but it's going to be an exciting weight class. I mean, those little guys, they go hard and they put on exciting fights. So I'm looking forward to watching. Looking
at the entire field, is there anybody that could surprise us?
I think there's a lot of guys that can surprise us. 82 kilos. Barrett Stanghill was our U23 World Team member last year and keeps doing great things. Then we got John Stefanovic, that's very, very tough competitor at that weight. I think 82, we know Jordan's sitting out, but whoever comes out of that mini tournament's gonna be a formidable competitor for that weight class and to make that team. Across the board, though, I mean, there's going to be some good matches. I mean, 87, I would expect Joe Rao to make it through and meet Ben in the finals again, and we're going to have a good series there, but there could be some guys coming up there. It's nice to see Tracy Hancock back in the mix at 97 kilo, former world team member and junior world medalist. So lots of talent, lots of exciting guys. Hope everybody gets a chance to tune in and watch us. It's going to be streamed live on Flow, so tune in, guys.
Yeah. Last question for you, Coach. You mentioned how Dalton and Brandon were teammates. They're at NMU, which they make up more than half of our U23 World Team for this year. Can you just talk about NMU as a program and how it's kind of helping within our USA developmental system?
Yeah, I think we got 6 guys that are currently enrolled there and incoming athletes. So that's 7 out of the 10 weight classes are Northern Michigan. The 2 of the other guys train here, Hancock and Colton Schultz. And Nolan Baker, I think, is the only guy that is in a college system that's able to put enough time and training into wrestling Greco. He was a standout Greco-Roman wrestler in high school, and Fargo All-American national champ type athlete. And Illinois has always had a strong system. But I think what we're seeing is that if you want to do Greco-Roman, you need to train Greco-Roman. You need to immerse yourself in the sport. You need to get yourself in the proper training environment. And having Northern Michigan is really important to our program because, as you can see, the bulk of our team is from that one room in that program. And it's not so much it's a developmental program. It's definitely we're changing things up there to where those guys are making teams. They're putting themselves on teams. But we also have the developmental aspect where we're starting to get a lot of high school athletes. Alston Nutter, who's on our junior world team, went up there as a junior in high school, spent his senior year in high school. One of his teammates, Benji Peak, followed him up as a senior. Next year we're going to have Tyler Kurt up there. DeLon's going to be up there. I mean, we're starting to really getting the younger athletes to start thinking more international wrestling, and the fact that the international wrestling is a bigger deal than a college system. But we're still losing a lot of our best international athletes to a college system. But we're gonna fight to keep keep giving those guys opportunities to be a part of a Greco-Roman program if that's what they so choose to do, because what we've seen in the past is once an athlete goes into that Division I type of program, we don't see them wrestling a whole lot of Greco-Roman anymore. And the fact of the matter is that they're going to, even when they do, they're going to have a hard time, competing at a high level because they're not able to spend the time necessary to get themselves prepared to compete at a high level, let alone make a team, let alone medal at the World Championships. And I think our junior team's really stacked this year. We got a couple returning medalists on that team, returning world champ that's going to be on that team. We've got just a lot of talented guys on the U23, so I'm really looking forward to getting our final senior team selected and preparing those guys for Budapest.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
You bet.